Hey everyone, welcome to Powertime. Let's have a listen to what's on today's show. Numbers right in front of me. There's 45,000 agents, 92 contact centers in 120 countries with over 1 billion consumers with 145 million contacts. So when we talk,
I remember back in the early 90s, I had $4 in my, checking account. And I knew that studying hard and learning technology was going to be a path to success. In fact, I have a sticky note on my monitor that says, don't sell your product, sell the problem that your product solves.
we use an American term now. Let's double click on.
Let's get into it.
It's power time. Get ready, let's go.
Hey everyone, welcome to Power Time. I'm joined here with my partner in crime, Mr. Matt Noble. Matt, how's your week been? It's been busy for me.
Busy. Lots happening, which is good. Building some really cool stuff in Copilot Studio. So super impressed with that. Preparing for a few webinars and sessions and all the fun things I like doing. So yeah, the week's been good, very productive. So
yes. You have been hitting me up for content, I know.
I have.
Thought something was happening.
I've got the best slides in Australia. So
they're only a week old. So hopefully,
I was urgently texting you, teamsing you, everything to go. Hey Scott, I need these slides.
And I kept forgetting as well. And in the end, I pinged Dinesh and my team to do it, and he did it. So
there you go.
I delegated in the
delegation.
end.
That's what I need to be doing more. Delegating. So yeah,
that's
good.
Cool.
What about yourself, mate?
I've been really busy, but one of my highlights for the week is I've been doing a coaching course with Michael Bengo-Stainer. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's an internal course, so runs for about 6 weeks. It's been really good, powerful questions, being curious, all of these kind of things. It's right up my alley. So really enjoying that course. I'll talk more about it in these upcoming podcasts, I think, as we go. Another really interesting thing, I was, cruising through my usual podcast this week, and there was a couple of really interesting stories. One was definitely around this whole goat meme where, a guy in New Zealand's basically created an X chatbot, and that chatbot, I think, is being able. This is on Mark Andreessen's podcast. So go listen to that, everyone, if you haven't heard of this. But basically, the chatbot has been responding to people on X and has created its own persona and has been requesting for funding so it could go and build a server farm. And, this is all in its mind. And the guys were kind of pushing it and going, hey, I'll just give you 50,000. How would you spend it? And then someone thought they'd create a meme coin based off it and to fund this whole thing. And now it's worth $300 million.
Yeah,
so just like, how is that even possible? So shout out to the guys in New Zealand that kind of got that bot up and running and things like that. The story, like I said, is on Mark Andreessen's podcast.
Those meme coins are insane.
Really interesting.
There's like a dog meme that's obviously Doge is worth so much money. There's all these other ones like Wiff
I think they're calling it the first AI kind of meme coin that's has a value attached to it by automate, which does open up the whole idea of are we going to live in a world in the future where everything on social media is just a response back from an AI chatbot and we won't be able to tell the difference? Are we breaking the internet? Are we creating a whole new world? I don't know, but I know as soon as you attach money like that to anything, you end up with 10 million times that. So there'll be a big amplification of this. So that was really interesting. The other really interesting thing is the word at the moment, from what I can see in the industry, is speed, right? So there's a lot of people saying that, by the time you've had your kind of third or fourth meeting, I've already failed twice and been successful. So, it's the way to keep up with the pace and things that are going on now is not to kind of delay things. It's just to get it done and move on to the next thing, because the pace of innovation's so fast. And it kind of reminded me, I sent a video to you, Matt, just this morning, actually, from the AI tour, which is our launch of agents. at Microsoft. And I just think, like you and I talk about this stuff every month in, month out, and agents have just gone bang and it's just exploded. And now there's all of these agents that go off and do things. So actionable AI, actionable Copilot, studio, agents that go and, here's a sales process, I'll go and do something here. And I just thought it's an amazing amount of progress in such a short period of time and within a few months. And it really leans into that whole thing of, if you think you're going to be able to, come up with an idea and then sit here, think about it, plan it, and then 12 months launch it, there's probably 3 other people that have already done it. So pick up the phone, ring people, just get it done. Is kind of the way forward now, which is really interesting. It's such a fast pace.
Yeah, I can definitely see, and obviously you can't speak on behalf of Microsoft's strategy, but my personal opinion is obviously Microsoft's rolling this technology out so fast, to get it in there embedded and start to learn and all of that kind of stuff. So can definitely see that as part of the strategy. It's obviously working, but that video you showcased me was kind of further proof that agents will be kind of the way of the future. Converting this natural language into these autonomous tasks was really, really incredible. And probably one of my big bets. So when we do our big bets for next year, I've already given it away. It's going to be agents. So there we go. Well, so
I was chatting to a customer this week or last week, and it was really interesting. We were talking about inbound versus outbound contact center. And so today you go, oh, geez, my whole contact center is inbound. There's a lot of inquiries around, fulfilling orders, doing a whole bunch of things, inbound, and not so much outbound. And it really changed the way I think about all of this now, because what he said was, can we convert 90% of the inbound to be automated through AI agents, whatever we need, automatic ordering, whatever we need to do, chatbot deflection, all of these things. And so I can turn my entire contact center into an outbound contact center. And I said, wow, why do you want to do that? And he goes, well, because we've got so many leads in the system that we don't chase today, which we should be. I mean, we can make people relationship managers. We can go deeper with our customers. And we don't want to remove any staff. We just want to be able to become more of a sales engine, which got me
generate
thinking.
More rev.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a big movement inside of Microsoft right now to go, we need to bring sales and marketing and customer service together. We've spoken about this. All of engineering now sits under Jeff Comstock. So that kind of brings that messaging together. It's about sales, service, inbound, outbound together. So, and automate what you can, automate everything. And so I think this is the future as it's turning out a contact center. We kind of were thinking last year the future of the contact center might be 20 people doing what 2,000 people do, which is, I think that's the way devs are going. I'm one developer and I have 20 digital agents and they're going to go build. So we see a reduction. But I think in the contact center, we see a transformation from outbound to inbound. That was kind of my insights this week after talking to our customers and where their heads at around their stuff. But it's super exciting and it leads into our amazing guest that we have on today. But
she is amazing. She's awesome. So I'm a big fan of Jennifer. We had a great chat.
We did.
So yeah.
So
I
much
don't want to give away the statistics. There's a lot of statistics that Scott will talk about, but the impact that they achieved and the sheer size and scale and magnitude of the call center is honestly incredible. So
when you listen to like a real world example, and of course, eating your own kind of dog food is the term in the industry. Like, if you build the technology, you should use it. What I find really interesting about the Microsoft contact story, though, is if you look at it, they went on this digitization kind of deflection kind of journey in 2019. And we'll talk about this with Jennifer, but just to highlight, if they hadn't have done the digital transformation, the consolidation of systems, because they had, I can't remember the exact number, it was quite a lot of systems that consolidated.
Yeah.
They would never have been able to adopt AI in 3 months.
Yeah.
And I think that's the journey that everyone should be on right now, which is, having 20 systems to do what you need to do, it's just not scalable anymore to get to the knowledge and where you need to get to. Yeah. And you've got to be able to bring these systems of records together. And the benefit to Microsoft was bigger internally from a dollar point of view than what it was externally to, hey, we want to go sell more. So, they made more money in savings than most companies earn in our economy here in Australia and New Zealand. So,
Yeah.
so it was just in savings. So it's just
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal story,
Yeah.
obviously on a really large scale. But the simplicity of it as well was really amazing, because we're not talking about huge things. Like, we're not talking about, hey, we've deployed a whole bunch of agents, they only just launched, out to the entire contact center. We're talking about just the basic fundamentals of Copilot for Sales and these kind of digital things that are just existing today. And our basic AI capabilities. I can't wait to see what
Agents.
comes. Yeah, I can't wait to see what this looks like in our contact center. And talking to Jennifer, we're going to talk to Jennifer every few months, I reckon.
Every year,
because I can't wait to see what it's going to look like in a year or two. But and also a huge upside on satisfaction of the employees, which is another big focus for us, right? Like, is how can we make the employee experience much better in the contact center? And this has been a big, thing that's top of mind for me in the contact center. Is it's actually a really terrible experience. Most of us have all worked in there. My wife has worked in those contact centers. And I remember my wife telling me she worked in a highly regulated contact center. And I remember her saying numerous times she would put the phone down, go into the toilet, cry, and then come back out again. For just the way that people spoke to her. It was just horrendous, right? So there's a side to the contact center that, in some organizations that just should be driven by an automated AI kind of agent. And then there's the side of the contact center where people really love to work in it, and we should amplify what they do and really make their job easier. So I just think we just need to remember there's a human element to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to work in the contact center early on in my career. I think it's like a rite of passage for IT isn't it, to go work in a contact center.
It is.
So yeah, I definitely respect and understand that it is a really stressful position. Yeah, like you have to deal with customers complaining, all of this kind of stuff, and you don't have all the information necessarily all the time, or the required training necessarily all the time as well. So empowering people with that knowledge at the palm of their hands and intelligently putting that up. As the call goes on and all of these types of things is really going to make that agent experience and also customer experience far more, successful. So, we cover a lot of that with Jennifer, but I agree where this is going to go in the next 4, 8, 12 months. I think Jennifer's going to be regular. We'll track that update about where they're going as we go on the journey, because similar with agents, CCaaS is probably one of our other big bets that we're sort of seeing is going to be sort of transformational in the industry in the next 12 to 18 months. So,
Yeah, I think voice is going to be really big. I mean, obviously, we're looking at a digitized voice, to be able to do deflections. What's interesting about the Microsoft Contact Center is they're already at 96% digital deflection, which is, if you look at the number of calls that are coming in, that's phenomenal. Imagine if there was no deflection. And just, I don't know how you'd handle that volume, but yeah, a really high amount of digital deflection, which I find most of our customers are nowhere near that. That level of digital deflection. So, really interesting on how that's done and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, though, it's a big win for consumer, because no matter what we look at, if your contact center agents are happier, people are getting the answers that they need quickly, whether it's via a chatbot or a digital voice or by a human. Like, CSAT goes up. Like, people get a happy experience. I mean, I certainly don't ring up my insurance company to sit there and talk about the weather and how you're going and like make a friend. I'm ringing up the insurance because I got to make a claim, and I'm probably upset because I'm in the middle of a car accident, or the rain is just coming into my house and I need to get the roof fixed, right? So it's a moment of panic, it's a moment of stress. And you just need to get an answer. It's I
did it recently. I don't told you this actually. I gave the little new car a little ding, and shout out to the RAC. They were fantastic. So I had someone over straight away.
No, you didn't tell me that. So that's really interesting.
A time for another story, mate. A time for another day, buddy. So,
it is.
John Kelly always gives me a bit of a stick about this one. So I think it's going to be calling Matt Hamilton since this incident, because let's just say I was reversing out of a car park, and then wasn't concentrating. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting with these things. I actually went through it as well. So it's a different scenario. My daughter's car was flooded, and the computer got flooded, so the brakes didn't work. It was the brakes are controlled by the computer, and they
Yeah.
ended up having to have a new wiring loom. Long story short, it's a write off. So we are
Yeah.
picking up Montana. Shout out to Montana if she's listening in. She should be. We will be picking up her new car on Saturday, or new secondhand car, and we're really looking forward to that tomorrow. So
There we go.
so there we are. So it was a great experience with a local insurance company who is actually a Microsoft customer who I spoke to their CEO with only 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So there you go.
There we go.
So full circle,
Cool.
full circle. Yeah. But yeah, interesting stuff. All right. Well, anything else top of mind, Matt, or we bring Jennifer onto the show and
I want to bring
get into
Jennifer on.
this?
I think that was a great chat. I think let's bring Jennifer on. She's the star of the show, but yeah, it's a really, really absorbing chat, and there's a lot of really good intel for those organizations looking at contact center and kind of the way of the future. So yeah, let's bring Jennifer on now for the chat, and yeah, hope everyone enjoys the chat.
Yeah, awesome. I'm sure everyone will. Let's delve into the Microsoft Contact Center in depth, and we will see everyone on the flip side. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Powertime podcast. I'm super excited today to be joined here by Jennifer Lowry. Jennifer Lowry runs one of our amazing, well, it was one of the people that runs one of our amazing contact centers at Microsoft, and I'll go into the numbers in a minute. But she's had a 20-year stellar career at Cisco and joined Microsoft about 4 years ago. So we're really excited to have her on because this is a hot topic right now when we talk about the contact center. And the Microsoft Contact Center, I have the numbers right in front of me. There's 45,000 agents, 92 contact centers in 120 countries with over 1 billion consumers with 145 million contacts. So when we talk about contact centers, there is not much that's larger than that. I'll let Jennifer tell us whether it is the largest in the world, but I'm assuming it's probably one of, if not the largest. So Jennifer, over to you for a quick intro on who you are and what you do at Microsoft, and we're really excited to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah, awesome. No, thank you, Scott and Matt. Just what an awesome opportunity to spend some time talking about just this transformation of Gen AI happening inside of support. But yeah, as you mentioned, I have this pleasure of working for a small startup by the name of Microsoft. But all jokes aside, coming up on now 50 years that we've been able to help customers with technology transformations. And, even though I do joke about, the startup space, there is just tons of enthusiasm inside of the company for just this way they're about to embark on. And enthusiasm, not just for Gen AI and what it means for our customers, but also what it means for support. We see these light bulb moments for, what we can do both in helping our agents to remove toil, such that they can, help, customers with lower friction. By the way, I learned when I was spending time with you guys in Australia that the word toil is an acronym, which I think stands for time in lieu. But what that means for us here in the U.S., I know. So it's not a reference to vacation, but it is about, how do you remove all of those just like drudgery tasks, the tasks that you have to do to make sure that we're compliant and documenting things for customers. But from there all the way to how do our support managers help to be better leaders, being informed in what their teams are up to doing. But it is just such an exciting time to be at Microsoft.
So, and you've been at Microsoft for about 4 years, had an amazing career over that time, watching a transformation in the contact center it's really gone. Well, I guess you've been at the center of AI because you've had access to AI in a contact center fashion right from the beginning. But let's delve a little bit into your career and how how did you get a start at Microsoft and get into, I guess, the contact center world, And what's a day in the life of Jennifer Lowry look like? I mean, we should call out also you're based in Texas, so that's this strong accent that everyone's hearing right now.
Yep. I'd say good morning, y'all. But yes, no, just that path that I took to where I am now, it really is being able to dive into two of my biggest passions. The first passion that I have is technology. And I'll talk a little bit about, why technology is so exciting. But the second passion that I have is helping others. And what better way in which to harness those passions and apply them to good than working in Microsoft, where in support we're able to help our customers with some of their toughest problems. If you think about technology, for me and the 25 plus years that I've spent in technology, for me, technology, both the learning of it as well as the application of it, is the ultimate equalizer. It just really evens the playing field. If you think about, for communities, for companies wanting to get ahead and leapfrog the competition, so many of those companies did it by harnessing technology. And even for me, as a young kid, many years ago, studying engineering, working to pay for college, I remember back in the early 90s, I had $4 in my, checking account. And I knew that studying hard and learning technology was going to be a path to success. But also the thing about technology is that if you missed one technology wave, just wait a minute, right? Because if you think about, through our time,
I love that.
Right?
Love that. Yeah.
I mean, Scott, you've been in you've been in the business for 15 years here at Microsoft, and you think about computers, internet, that whole cloud thing, and I think this Gen AI space is here to stay. But I will tell you this. I came to Microsoft thinking that I was going to get a masterclass in cloud, but a Gen AI lecture broke out. And so, we're riding this wave, but, it's just such a, again, fascinating space to be in. And again, just harnessing two of the things I care deeply about. So
No, I completely agree. Me and Scott chat about this all the time. This Gen AI wave and this whole concept of, agents and agentic experience, it's really kind of the way of the future. And yeah, it's a really exciting time to be in technology once we have all these AI infused experiences into our existing product suite. So really excited as well as part of that. Talk to me about CCaaS and the contact center. It is such a buzzword in Australia at the moment. And for those who don't know, Jennifer was actually recently in Australia, and I forgot to say howdy before I chat because Jennifer was making everyone say howdy as part of the Texas thing, as part of it. But tell me a bit more about CCaaS, what it is, and I guess what the impact it's had on Microsoft moving forward.
I love that question. And one thing I was curious about for you, Matt, I'll have to ask you later is, on that wave, how do you prepare yourself to be able to talk with customers? Because if you think about this, and CCaaS is no different. Technology is not just, something that you implement just because. Technology is a solution to solve your business problems. In fact, I have a sticky note on my monitor that says, don't sell your product, sell the problem that your product solves. And CCaaS is no different. And for us inside of Microsoft Support, we started first with our why. Why are we implementing Gen AI? Because there are so many different opportunities that you can do. But for us, the first was the agent experience. And I'll talk a little bit about how our solution is helping to streamline that agent experience. The second why for us is how do we speed that time of onboarding for our support engineers? If anybody listening has ever been in queue taking a support case for the first time, that first case is an exercise in courage. There's a support engineer that I work with really closely. Her name is CCG, and she actually came out to Sydney with us. And she talked about how when she's training up her support engineers, sometimes they forget their own name, right? Like trying to take that first call. And so, how is our CCAD solution providing access to just thousands and thousands of knowledge management articles at the tip of the fingers of our support engineers? Scott, you talked about the size of Microsoft support. We get 145 million contacts every year across every technology type, from Xbox. So if you got a 12-year-old son calling in about Call of Duty questions, I know.
Yeah, we love the Xbox here. We love
it. The gamers are passionate.
And they are passionate.
They'd be calling you up angry about trying to fix their problems. So I could definitely relate. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
but
that's it.
I was going to say, Jennifer, some numbers that when you were out on the tour, and we loved you coming out to Australia on the tour, it was great. And, I said to you when you left, my only regret was we didn't get in front of a whole lot more customers. Yeah. So next time you're in Oz, be prepared for a very busy calendar. But some of the numbers I really liked when talking to you and your team was 96% of the calls are deflected digitally. So that's a huge digital deflection before people land in the contact center. We're on track for, was a $500 million saving in the first 2 years of operating, and the first contact center in the world to use Copilot and AI, and have it deployed. And so those are really big numbers and amazing impact, right? And then you took us through the journey, which I have in front of me actually, from 2019 to 2024. And what I loved about that journey was because you'd done a lot of work in 2019 to digitize and put in dynamics and really get the contact center under control, you're able to then deploy AI really quickly. Right. So let's sort of, we use an American term now. Let's double click on knowledge management and how you're able to deploy AI so quickly, because I think the knowledge management story was really cool.
Right.
About it a few weeks back.
It's a great point. I mean, we in 2020 made that decision to consolidate into one platform. Prior to that, we had 16 different systems. And that allowed us to move very fast. So once Copilot was available natively inside of Dynamics, we were able to deploy in a matter of months. So from March to late summer. But we learned some things. And you talked about the knowledge piece. Knowledge is the fuel for making Copilot and Gen AI work. I think I mentioned this adage that, garbage in, garbage out. And so some of the early outputs that we had were not correct. And as a result of that, our support engineers had some trust issues with that, right? And so, what is it? Once bitten, twice shy. I think there's a White Snake song called that, Once Bitten, Twice Shy. Yep. But, we had to do some win back. So one, we had to clean up our knowledge, where we identified things that were current and accurate. But then we had to be very intentional about building strong community support inside of those 92 contact centers, where people are giving us feedback, telling us when the answers are correct, when the answers aren't correct. And I'll tell you this: if we had not led with features that really improve the agent experience, I think our support engineers would have been skeptical. They probably would have been hesitant to provide us feedback, because they're thinking, really, what is your ultimate motive? And so, again, just really strong lessons learned that has allowed us to build a strong foundation for the next phase.
That's really interesting. I think quite often we think about technology, but we don't think about the human impacts on the people that have to use it and how they adopt it and all of these kinds of things, which is really interesting. So, from a knowledge point of view, were you able to point kind of Copilot? I guess maybe we'll step back a bit from the business process point of view. So Copilot is there to automatically serve up to the agents a resolution to a case that they might be working on. And it's also there to automatically create knowledge-based articles, if I'm correct, that from cases. So if we look at like the CrowdStrike incident and things like this, you're able to dynamically create a knowledge base article that was shared across all 45,000 people instantly, right? Which was amazing. So, but you had to do a fair bit of work, right, around knowledge base articles to kind of get the AI to work effectively.
That is so true. And I mean, let's spend a minute just talking about CrowdStrike. If anybody was paying attention and had a computer or was traveling home like I was, it was a bit of a busy day for Microsoft support. But we were able to, leveraging Copilot, as we were publishing workarounds and fixes and knowledge articles, every hour, our agents were able to access in Dynamics, in our platform, what is the latest appropriate information for me to share with my customer. And it was just amazing. Again, going back to those moments of courage, how are you helping your agents to take down the stress level? That was a game changer for us.
Yeah, I actually used to be an agent on the other side, so I can completely relate with that stress. So in a past life, I was on the IINet call center, and I remember it was really stressful as well. So allowing your agents to have that right information at the right time is really imperative for delivering a better outcome, but also supporting your agents with their ways of working and how they feel when delivering that, because it is daunting. I remember my first couple of calls, I was sweating like this behind the camera, trying to figure out what I was doing, because I was going to support the customer's angry. They're not angry at me, but they're angry at the situation. Yeah. So how do we support our agents and our people more? So it's really great to hear some of these case studies that's actually getting utilized. What are some of the other cool features of the CCAS platform that you're seeing? Like, what are some of the other sort of nice features that I guess are also implemented as part of that?
Yeah, well, here's one fun thing. You can get it to talk in pirate. And so,
how does that go down with the customers?
Go ahead, Scott, please.
I was going to say, especially on National Pirate Day, which we have. I don't know if the US has that, but in Australia we have. Or it might be International Pirate Day.
Escalation.
I don't know. It's
when it's an escalation, you get escalated to a pirate, and the customer gets over the escalation and all that kind of stuff. So. Yeah.
I know. I know. No, I think it's Australian. You just say R with a Z instead of an S. I have no idea, but. So I'm kidding, but not kidding. What was fun is we use it for real live language translation. So we support customers in 46 different languages. By the way, pirate is not one of them. But we had a customer come in to visit us, and this actually started the whole journey in December of last year. And we were able to toggle. So, for example, you've got an agent whose mother tongue is English, and the call or the chat is coming in French. You can translate it into the language that the customer is speaking, and also the language that you are speaking. And when we were, showing this, we actually said, we prompted Copilot, please describe how to upgrade from Windows 10 to 11, but speak in pirate.
Wow.
And it did it. So
there you go, all those gamers out there. You can call up in pirate now, and Microsoft's here to help. So.
You heard it here. Yeah. I think what I love about it though is the fact that it's such a large deployment of technology, and you can move so quickly. And given that we're really at the beginning of this AI journey, one would say that this contact center in particular will be able to make use of advanced technology as it sort of comes through over the next few years. Where do you think the hotspots are in the contact center right now that you think AI could probably solve?
Yeah, it's an opportunity-rich environment, to say the least. But one of the things that I am particularly excited about is the knowledge management harvesting space. We see, so if you look at, support, in my history inside of support, about 90% of the issues have been seen before, right? And so, and we've, for many years up until Gen AI, how do you really identify those signals that say, hey, we've seen this issue before. This is likely, what the problem is, right? Because if you think about what customers want, they just want their problem solved quickly. right? And our support engineers want to be effective for the customers. And so being able to do that pattern recognition, which Gen AI and Copilot is particularly good at. So that's one feature I'm excited to see. The second is in that knowledge harvesting space for the 10% where we don't have a knowledge article that would be helpful for an agent to solve. And we're starting to see that now, where after that case is resolved, after Matt, back in your days, after the case is resolved and the customer's happy, you can stop sweating. Maybe go put some more deodorant on. But like after that happens, you can say, hey, please help me to build this knowledge management article based upon this information that I saw. Because like if you think about how our agents are motivated, our agents are highly motivated to keep our their CSAT high and keeping up with their call volume. And so some of those things around like knowledge management stuff, it's not something that really works into that overall things we were compensated. And so if you can have Copilot do that for you and create the knowledge, again, efficiency, driver for sure.
I really like that. So in Biz Apps, we've had I've been in Biz Apps now for a long time. We've always spoken about the data feedback loop, right? Which is data comes into the system, a human then kind of generates or adjusts that data, and then it goes back into the system. And then next time they access that data, it's the latest and greatest data, right? Knowledge makes perfect sense to do this. What AI really changes in the data feedback loop is that automation of data, that automation of those tasks, and the accuracy behind it as well. So I'm thinking, what about hallucinations?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see a lot of hallucinations, and was it something that everyone was worried about?
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, no pressure, right? I mean, the first thing that we actually do talk about is it's Copilot. And so this is a tool that our agents are leveraging, but making sure that the agent is comfortable with what is being shared before they send it. But we've also implemented a couple other things for that. One, we don't serve up any recommendations that don't have citations that we reference from our knowledge bases, and we train our support engineers on the things that you do to validate the source. So when you are upgrading from Windows 10 to Windows 11 and it gives you the recommendations, clicking into those citations that are hyperlinked for our customers, for our agents to be able to validate. And then the third piece, and this is an interesting situation, with the LLMs, they will actually sometimes take different knowledge articles and they will assimilate them together. So we had an interesting scenario where you have two types of subscriptions. You've got that Call of Duty subscription that I was talking about earlier, and you also have an Azure subscription. And so can you imagine the type of recommendations that you would get if you just said, hey, my customer's got an issue with the subscriptions? And so one thing that we've done is we've implemented filtering so that our Xbox engineers get only the information appropriate for Xbox. And then our Azure team, for example, gets just the Azure stuff. But I was curious about you guys. I mean, in that funny hallucination scenario, what have you guys encountered in the whole journey of hallucinations with Gen AI and Copilot?
Yeah, look, I think what I'm hearing from our customers is that, as the models get smarter, we see less hallucinations. As we get better at doing RAGs with data, and different data sources, and to your point, filter on different. And there's this concept of agents now as well. So we're looking at multiple LLMs to kind of, do different things, and then using kind of a RAG architecture within our Copilot Studio to sort of bring that data up. So each LLM is doing something different, so it's less chance of hallucination. But all in all, I'm not seeing it raised as a bigger problem as it used to be 12 months ago. So I think we'll see this in the industry slowly kind of disappear as we get our architecture better. And let's face it, we're designing this architecture on the fly at the moment, really, testing it, see how it goes. But everyone's learning. What I really love about Microsoft and AI and what we've done in the contact center in particular is that we're kind of 2 years ahead of everyone else in that learning. So it's like a lot of people will say stuff, and Charles mentioned this when he was out as well. He'll get questions and he'll go, "Oh, geez, we kind of solved that a year and a half ago, or we solved that last year." So it's that experience of putting stuff, in production in anger is where you get your best learnings, and hopefully, you're not telling anyone to shoot virtual machines or, in some sort of gaming context as you found, but to try and fix those machines. But so that I guess that's my take on it. That what I'm saying is it's just getting better and better all the time. I've got some more stats. Everyone's probably wondering how we got that saving of 400 or 500 million, and I've got 32% up in self-help, which is great. 20% down in misroutes, which that's good.
That's huge.
31% increase in first call resolution. That is huge on a contact center that big. Yeah. And 12% up in CSAT. So people are happier. They're getting routed better, and things are getting responded to really, really quickly. And that's most of that's due to the AI in the contact center, or is that the whole digital journey?
So we're using AI in a multitude of places that are delivering those results. And so, one of those experiences is conversational AI capabilities. And so, if you think about, the bane of contact center experiences, it's that dreaded IVR where, you call into your credit card company or your airline and they say, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And we have removed that. And so now our customers will call in and they just talk to it, like a human being. Hey, I've got an issue with my my Xbox, or I've got an issue with my Surface or VM. And so as a result, you actually get customers to the right support engineer faster. It's much faster than what you would have done with press 1 for this, press 2 for that. But here was a funny thing that also happened. When we first deployed this, suddenly we saw a dramatic drop to our inside sales community. So the people that were waiting on the phone, to take an order, maybe to sell a new Surface or to sell a new, family M365 subscription. And come to find out, human behavior here at work. I'm guilty of this too. When I call up a contact center, I want to talk to a person that's going to solve my problem. And so I have figured out that if I say I want to talk to sales, I'm going to talk to a person. Come to find out, that's actually what all of our customers do.
It's the cheat code. Yeah.
I do that now and again. Guilty.
Right. And so it was not about misroutes, but routing the right person to the right agent. And so we had to go through restaffing based upon the true demand. And then being able to get the intent correct for our customers of what they need. And also, what I love about this stuff is it's not just about the customer experience, but the agent experience. So if you've got a customer coming in that's already annoyed because they've been routed around in the IVR, they've had to hang up and call back, that already puts the agent at a disadvantage. And so I love just how we are really lighting up the whole experience across voice in that scenario and agent experience as well.
To someone and they have no context of what you've been speaking for the last 10 minutes about with someone else. That's infuriating. Yeah. So having that, tracking the case record within, dynamics and all that kind of stuff is a real game changer. Sorry, Scott, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, I was talking to a customer recently and they have kind of a complete inbound contact center right now. And their view was, can we implement AI to resolve a lot of the inbound content so we can transform to be an outbound contact center? So to your point, if we can automate, a lot of it's order taking and things like this, can we get all the orders kind of automated through a digital process? So that way we can transform our contact center to then be relationship builders with our customers and, bring them up. How you going? Is there anything we can help you with? Maybe not direct sales, but just relationship building. And I thought that's, it's always, you always think when AI landed, everyone just kind of thought, oh, there's only going to be 20 people in a contact center, dealing with 2 million customers. But I think as it's sort of rolling out, it's becoming the co-pilot to assist to get faster resolution, and the modernization of a contact center to allow for people to do more meaningful tasks than some of those less meaningful ones. So it is interesting how it's working out. I'm sure at some point, there'll be a lot of optimization in the contact center as well. But yeah, just a fantastic story, I think. So
yeah. I think so too. Yeah. I'll just say this, I kind of feel like Copilot allows people to try on like slightly different roles, right? So let me kind of explain in that whole scenario of, a support engineer gets really good at, helping a customer with problems. To that point, they can start to test out, can they drive an adoption conversation? And you've got Copilot there where you can ask them, you can say, hey, based upon, what you know about this customer, what are some upsells opportunities that I can position, or where are some adoption opportunities that I can talk to them about? And you're no longer requiring that support engineer to be completely conversant on all of the things around customer success to be successful. And so again, just like, how do you give your agents both an opportunity to be successful in their current role about like onboarding, but also being able to stretch out into providing additional value.
I know
to
for FSI customers, it's heavily regulated, and they spend kind of 3 or 4 months training people, and then the average tenure might be 11 months. So you spend 3 months of the 11 training, they answer calls for 6 or 7, and then they leave. It's kind of, so which is a high cost to the contact center. I can imagine that, using AI the way you guys use it, that training period must be greatly reduced as well.
Yeah. There's a cool capability that we're working on right now is we are actually using Copilot to help our agents train in the moment, right? So, being able to create those sort of rehearsal experiences, leveraging, scenarios, realistic scenarios that people have faced where, a VM keeps recycling, and allowing them to test out their troubleshooting skills. So that's just, again, so powerful. And by the way, that was built just from our internal support organization. So back to that whole thing around building community, building a safe space where people are able to innovate. If we hadn't done that, I don't think that we would have gotten a lot of these cool, use cases that we're seeing inside of the organization.
That's amazing. It makes a lot of sense as part of it. So we're hearing a lot of demand in Australia at the moment. So is there any sort of couple of tips or lessons learned or something like that for an organization that is looking at, moving to CCaaS or something like that? Like, what are sort of the key takeaways that you can kind of bring given your experience and your journey?
Yeah. I'll say is have a clear why. And I've talked with Scott and Matt, as well as your customers, around how we had some very clear design principles. And so starting with what those are, and I'll tell you what our design principles are. Everybody's going to have to, apply kind of their business strategy. But, our design principles were the use cases needed to first help our agents to, again, remove toil, right? So how do you remove friction? Because if you lead with things that the agents can find a direct connection to how it makes them more valuable, you're going to immediately see both the adoption, the connection, and then the impact, right? And by the way, there are use cases that you can use that don't require a lot of the knowledge management and ingestion. In the support space, just starting with case summary, right? That helps your agent experience. Here's the other way it helps your customer experience. Matt, you were talking about that annoying thing where you have to repeat your issue over and over again. With something like case summary, you can eliminate that. Because you've got that information readily available. You're not requiring agents to write up their case notes before they go off shift. But for me, that design principle of agent experience and removing the toil is number one. And then the second is in support, in the support environments. You guys were talking about the attrition and the turnover, and the financial space. I'll say this, that that is a systemic issue with any kind of contact center organization. How do you make your agents more efficient, faster? So leading with how do you take down the onboarding time, and then third, just how do you streamline access to data for your agents? And really, in that set of design principles, they get a little bit more complicated. When you're trying to streamline access to data, you do need to have your knowledge bases all sorted out. But simple things like case summarization, simple things like having Copilot write the emails, write the chat for you, that your agents will love. And especially if they are technical. I'll tell you this. There's one support engineer I talked to, and he's hilarious. He tells me, and he tells many of the customers that come through, he says, you guys hired me because I'm really good at solving technical problems under stressful situations. You didn't hire me because I'm really good at writing emails. And so being able to have Copilot write those emails that are professional with, punctuation and periods and all that sort of stuff, he loves it.
That's a fantastic story.
I
can see Matt relating to that.
I hate admin, Jennifer. I hate admin. Everyone that knows me, I can't ask my company. Anyway, don't worry, I just don't like admin. So
that explains some of your emails that I've gotten.
No. I like, my skill set is talking and communicating, collaborating, business strategy. All the admin, all that kind of stuff. No bueno, not for me. So before I ask any sport-related questions, because I always do that for anyone from America that joins our podcast, Scott, is there any more questions you have for Jennifer on the context?
Just one, I think. We talked about CSAT up. Just can you just spend just a few seconds before we get into some sport sort of comments around what's the feeling in the contact center now with AI versus not AI? Like, is everyone much happier? Is it a better working environment? Because I got the feeling it was Emily, wasn't it, the customer support person that came out? I got the feeling that she's much happier working in an AI-led environment, which is what we're really trying to do here.
Yeah. I think we'll probably have to get some support engineers on this podcast to share their experience. But that'd be fun. That'd be
you just
fun.
dub yourself in for another podcast.
But you know what, Scott?
You just dub yourself in for another podcast. That's totally fine. So yeah, all good.
Totally, provided we can do it in a pub in Sydney. That's my only ask.
Yes. Watching a Longhorns game. There you go. So we can do that.
I know. I don't mind. I always say Australia is my second favorite country. So, but just what I do, back to your point of do we feel like our agents are happier? What I will say is that the technology rollouts that we used to do before, there was never really an obvious value prop for our agents. And I will say that, in the 20 years that I've seen, many of the technology rollouts were probably around optimizing cost. Maybe improving the customer experience, but it wasn't always around how do you make the agent experience better. And so with Gen AI and with Copilot, these are the first times, at least from my vantage point, where these things are intended to make the life lived experience for our agents much better. And we started with what the agents wanted first. The roadmap is driven by what our support engineers want to see. And there's an acronym that I heard. I was at a TSIA conference. For any of you guys that are listening, TSIA is the nerd prom for people in support professional industries. We love it. But they talked about this concept of many of the product roadmap decisions are driven by something called HIPPO. It's an acronym that stands for the highest paid person's opinion. And we may have done that actually prior to Gen AI and the rollout of technology inside of support. But now it is driven by our support engineers. And in fact, when our engineers give us feedback, they give us feedback both through thumbs up and thumbs down, and they tell us inside of our system, here's what I like about it, here's what I don't like about it, and we action on it, and we celebrate that capability as being things that they drove. And we also have using Power Automate. You'll love that, Scott. Using Power Automate capabilities, people can actually upvote on new features that we want to see, and they can also just add on different ideas. And so across all of those contact centers, you can have a concept, and some of the features that were actually rolled out, such as highlights, is a direct product of our agents' suggestions and ideas. And so back to that whole point, Scott, of like, are our agents happier? Like, people want to be like acknowledged. People want to be heard. People want to truly believe that you are in it for them. And so I'm convicted. That's a leadership principle that I have. My why background, I love technology, but I also love helping people. And that's helping people both outside of Microsoft, that are our customers, but also helping people
that's
inside of
fantastic
support.
response. I think while many of our competitors are busy on creating agents to kind of digital agents to kind of just replace everyone in the contact center, our focus has been on, how do we just improve the lives of the people in the contact center, which is a really good focus. So awesome. That was my last question, Matt.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, can I ask you guys some questions? I wanted to ask you guys some questions. Okay. So I went out to my trusty Copilot, and I said, I know. So I fed Copilot a little bit about you guys, and I said, what kind of questions should I ask Scott and Matt so that they will think that I'm their best guest of all time? So here's number one. If Gen AI and low code had a baby, what would you name it, and what superpowers would it have?
No, you go, Matt. You go.
Had a baby. It'd be like Cerebro in the X-Men, you know what I mean? That
Jarvis.
Cerebro thing,
Jarvis.
I think, something like
Jarvis?
that. Yeah, Cerebro, and it'd have all this power. I would call it Cerebro, but I'm also thinking about that. Cerebro from the X-Men is the first thing that comes to mind. So
yeah. I'm going to go with Jarvis, which is the operating system in Iron Man. So yeah, I think everyone wants to try to create that. Everyone wants to create that.
We're on a similar path here, aren't we? Cerebro is like the X-Men thing. Yeah. Yep. You got two nerds here, Jennifer. So we're probably going to be taking you down a Star Wars or something path as well with all of these answers. So yeah.
And then here's the last thing. So I also asked Copilot. I fed them your LinkedIn profiles and your background. I felt like a lurker. I promise I'm not stalking you guys. But Copilot told me that Matt was the platform prodigy, because I can see it, right? Wow. You've got a pioneering spirit with Power Platform, and you've got a knack for establishing and nurturing cutting edge practices and solutions. Is that fitting?
Thank you, Charles.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
My meeting with Charles went really well, so I appreciate that.
And
that's really good to hear. I would like to think that, so yeah, that's really good to hear. So I might need to self-stalk myself more, because it sounds like I'm getting good outcomes. So
all right, Scott. Here's what Copilot said about you. It reads kind of like an astrology, but here, it's so interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I know. So Scott, you are the dynamic dynamo. So your name celebrates your dynamic leadership with Microsoft Dynamics and your ability to ignite innovation and collaboration within high performance tech teams. That's a total call out to Dr. Gervais. You guys did a whole session on finding mastery. Man, Copilot is good. So I feel like it really pegged you guys.
Yeah. If we had the funding, we'd get him on the podcast as well. But I don't think he'd join our podcast for free. But I've done quite a few sessions, and he's fantastic. So.
You've been a great guest as always, Jennifer. So thank you for coming on. So you're from Texas, but born in Colorado. So obviously Texas Longhorn. Shout out to everyone who's a massive Longhorn fan, who's a massive guest of friend of the podcast. So also Colorado, they're doing pretty well. They got Coach Prime. Who would you rather see win the Natty Championship this year?
Oh my gosh. I would be happy with either one. I mean, I don't know what I would do. All right, hook 'em horns. Hook 'em horns. I am an avid Longhorn fan. I'll tell you this funny story. Since you are, a connoisseur of college football teams, I've got tons of family from the state of Oklahoma, and OU, the OU Sooners. I always am happy when they lose, but my aunts, my family, people I knew, all went to OU. There was this point in my young career. I was 3 years old, and I knew that Barry Switzer was the head coach of OU before I knew who the president of the United States was, right? And so I am happy when OU loses to Texas, which is what happened 2 weeks ago. And so I was all cocky, excited. And so what do they say? Like, beware of comeuppance, because exactly that happened. We lost to the Georgia Bulldogs. So, oh well.
Yeah, that was a good game. But you guys are still going to be ranked. It'll be good. But that's a good answer. And like I say, hopefully one day we get to go to a college game. I would love to go to Texas.
I'll invite you.
Game, so I might have to hold you to that next time I'm in the States. And we can go watch our long song. Done. All good. Cool. That's it from me. So thank you for answering my sort of sport-related questions. I do annoy all of our American sort of guests that come on the show.
I love it. Here's my question for you. Are you an Aussie rules watcher? Which team do you go for?
He's Bulldogs crazy. I've been to a few games with Matt, so Bulldogs crazy. Yeah, he's in the top dog. Yeah.
I actually broke my toe. Yeah. I broke my toe once when I was going to watch a game with Scott the day before, and I still went to the game with him. Went down to windy Ballarat, and I was hobbling around Mars Stadium, but I still went to the game.
He was on a scooter.
My passion for it. So that's another story for another time, Scott. We're going to time out here, all right? So, but Jennifer, next time you're in Australia, we can time it for Australian.
I've been, so we'll have, it'll make it my third time. I've been to the semis. There's something about meat pies and some Victoria bitter. But it also seems like every time you're on the podcast, like you're either talking about something that you broke or you've just broken something. So like, I want to know what's going on with you.
Yeah. If you listen to our podcast that we dropped yesterday, Matt was actually on TV because he witnessed a crime. Someone tried to stab someone as he walked out his front door to get an acai bowl, and it was just crazy. I just went, wow, okay, so Matt, you are surrounded in drama, I will say, which gives us plenty of things to talk about on the podcast. Yeah.
So there's a plug. Go listen to the other podcast. I did. I was on TV and stuff like that afterwards getting interviewed. I saved the day. I wasn't the criminal, by the way. So I was definitely
bit of a local
helping
hero.
Someone. But I get into these random situations.
I think it's time to move to a better neighborhood, Matt.
Texas. There we go.
All right. Well, a big thank you, Jennifer, for being on the podcast. That was amazing. I love talking about this topic, as you know, and we're looking forward to coming out to Australia again. And next time we're in the US, we'll definitely try and catch up. Thank you, and have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thank you. Ta.
Welcome to Powertime.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening into the podcast. Just a quick reminder that the point of view on this podcast is purely from Matt and I and our guests, and not the point of view of Microsoft or NCS. If you get a chance, click follow on this podcast, and also go ahead and follow our LinkedIn page or drop us a comment on X. Thanks everyone, bye.